This presentation goes over the Human Rights International Middle East Growth Strategy research proposal on behalf of Suvery Concepts, Incorporated. Covered in this presentation will be the executive summary, consultant background, research question and objectives, ethical considerations and issues, methodology, sampling strategies, interview and focus group formats, conceptual framework, the budget and timeline, analytic framework, and our reporting format. Executive summary. This proposal works to provide Human Rights International the market research necessary to make informed decision-making for growth in the Middle East North Africa region. HRI is an international nonprofit organization founded in 2002 and a worldwide movement campaigning for internationally recognized human rights. Suvery Concepts Incorporated is a recently formed opinion survey research consulting corporation with more than 60 years of combined experience in government, politics, non-governmental organizations, charitable groups, and public service. And listed below are the consultant's 5 key managers for the project. These consultant managers have experience consulting with the Japanese American Citizens League, the City of Phoenix, Arizona, United States of America government, United States of Mexico government, and the Middle East North African region. Consultant has experience in conducting focus groups, in-depth interviews, and telephone surveys, and has experience in understanding the geographic, political, and multicultural communication strategies, as well as having attended the highly regarded political management program at George Washington University and maintaining offices throughout the country in Arizona, California, Utah, and Mexico. Listed in experience are several projects that have been read, participated in, and analyzed by the group, including geopolitical trends, what global public opinion reveals, and the concept of human rights in the socio-cultural context of the Middle East, a structural equation model, as well as cause of tensions between Islam and the West, which is a BBC World Service GlobeScan Incorporated project. Consultant clients include, but are not limited to, the Japanese American Citizens League, City of Phoenix, Arizona, United States of Mexico, Ventura Republican Party, and the United States Department of Justice. The research project purpose is to provide Human Rights International the information needed to bolster their regional growth strategy by researching cultural norms, attitudes, and values in relation to the Middle East North African youth and human rights. The objectives of the project. Suvery Concepts Incorporated has concluded that using the research project as a strategy for campaigning in the region would present ethical dilemmas for the project and complete the research purposes, which would possibly yield inaccurate results, and instead, Suvery Concepts presents the following objectives: to map important rights issues across the region, identify the beliefs and values derived from culture that are shared by the majority of people in a particular society according to interviewed members of that population, measure the perceptions and importance of human rights in the region, and measure the image of HRI among Middle East North African youth. Now we'll go on to the ethical considerations and issues with the project that need addressed. Ethical considerations. Forming research questions that allow for diverse viewpoints and understandings of human rights and what it means to have those rights violated, which includes asking those being interviewed about their understandings and interpretations of human rights and what it means for those to be violated, not presupposing with the questions that particular rights issues are of greater importance, and allowing for discussion and question direction to come from interviewees' personal experience and subjective relationships to rights issues. This also means utilizing culturally aware research methods that allow respondents to answer questions in an authentic and honest manner without jeopardizing their well-being. For this, we'll use face-to-face interview methods based on interpersonal trust and anonymity, We'll exclude web-based survey submission due to the inherent potential for internet usage to be monitored and potentially used against those interviewed, and avoiding focus groups where sensitive questions would be brought up in a group setting among participants who may or may not feel comfortable discussing human rights violations and sentiments towards rights in front of others. With focus groups, we'll be particularly careful not to cause any ethical dilemmas among those participants being surveyed. Project issues. Security concerns for interviewers and researchers. For this, we'll be hiring security, hiring expert logistics teams in the area to visit zones before surveying, and increasing the budget price to accommodate any security needs. For language and cultural differences, we'll be translating the questionnaires and tests, and we need to take into consideration that Arabic language is not the same throughout all Arabic countries. There are minor differences, and the focus groups that are conducted are going to be used to kind of solve the language problems that are inherent with the project. For ethical considerations, and in addition to those that have been discussed, it's important that we are not imposing Western views, that we're considering our ethical obligations when writing the questionnaires, and that we're ensuring neutrality through the use of focus groups. And lastly, adherence to timeline and budget. Due to the nature of qualitative research, it's imperative to adhere to the budget and timeline by creating strategic benchmarks and checkpoints throughout the project. Moving on to the qualitative research methodology. Our rationale for this is that the RFP indicates that HRI is interested in learning about cultural norms, attitudes, and value systems as they relate to Middle East, North African youth and human rights. HRI is interested in the values associated with those rights and not interested in how many of the population hold a certain opinion about rights. They're also interested in discovering what the attitudes are regarding human rights and won't be generalizing their findings to the general public. And because HRI is interested in cultural attitudes that are current and value systems relating to human rights, the impact of education regarding human rights, and because these issues are highly sensitive, especially in the Middle East North Africa region, the qualitative method seems to be the most appropriate and sensitive methodology, which will include face-to-face interviews as well as small focus groups for testing. For the sampling strategy, research is going to be concerned only with the Middle East North African region, and HRI will mainly be working in 10 countries, which were presented in the proposal. We will randomly sample youth populations for those 10 countries. Equal representation of genders in sample is more or less guaranteed. Weights may be needed based on participants that we're able to collect. The total population is 31,062,233, and included in this slide is a breakdown of that population, the youth in those populations, age 15 to 24, by country. The sample size that we'll be using is 1,067 participants. That gives us a confidence level of 95% and a confidence interval of plus or minus 3%. Moving on to the formats of our interviews and our focus groups. Considerations for the interviews. Consultants will address the cultural sensitivities associated with interviewing participants in the Middle East North Africa region as follows. Geographic areas are organized into tribe. Consultants will seek permission from local tribes to conduct focus groups. Consultants will abide by tribes' customs and religious practices and will obtain any parental permission that's needed for the interviews. Formatting, consultants will be conducting in-depth face-to-face interviews. We'll translate the interview questions into the appropriate languages. Responses will be audio recorded, and interviews will contain interactive portions regarding the use of HRI's website and will address participants' knowledge and awareness of HRI. Consultants will also conduct focus groups with a minimum of 3 focus groups per geographic area. Consultants will be translating the questions into the appropriate languages and also audio recording the focus groups. And the questions will address participants' knowledge and awareness of HRI and the participants' attitudes towards human rights. And each focus group will have approximately 6 to 8 participants. And due to issues regarding tribal considerations and discussions of sensitive issues, consultants will seek participants of the same or similar tribes to encourage participation. We'll anticipate moderator questions and seek independent focus group moderators from the geographic areas. We'll also ensure that moderators stress confidentiality and work in summarizing the focus group results. For a conceptual framework, this is a conceptual map that includes the stages necessary for preparation, generation, structuring, representation, interpretation, and utilization of the project. Key concepts. The research objective is to disclose Arabic youth's attitudes towards human rights. Arabic youth are persons 16 to 24 years old residing in the 10 states or countries listed, and human rights is a universal set of freedoms to which every person is entitled to. Human rights is a very broad concept, and for that reason we break it into 5 subcategories here: individual rights, social or economic rights, cultural rights, environmental rights, and sexual and gender rights. And with each of those are an example and an operationalization example. For our budget and timeline, our grand total is $84,840. This includes a structured interview, focus group, translation cost, data collection, survey design, analysis, and reporting. Our timeline finishes the project by December 1st. Some key milestones are June 1st through the 30th is when we'll present qualitative preliminary results. August 14th through the 20th we'll be conducting interviews, and in October we'll be running final tests. For the analytic framework, we will be looking at cultural normative values, attitudes, and value systems. A variable structure shows the breakdown and the ways variables support cultural norms via values and attitudes. And the variable relationships indicates the relationship age, gender, education, political affiliation, socioeconomic status, and religion may have on attitudes and values. For framework components, we have data preparation, statistics, both inferential and descriptive. For data preparation, there's the audio recording, transcribing of interviews, translating of interviews, development of a codebook, code interview data, and development of a database structure. For descriptive analysis, we'll be doing our face-to-face interviews with a lot of structured questions and a few open-ended questions. And these questions are going to be described with a univariate statistical analysis searching for common characteristics. And our inferential statistics will include explorative data mining and cluster analysis, as well as perceptual mapping of each of our rights categories. For reporting format, the consultant proposes to provide the following deliverables to the team over the course of the project: final surveys, which will be done in Word and translated into English, final interviews in Word and translated into English, final surveys and interviews of the focus groups, detailed field work reported by countries indicating the number of completed interviews, individual data files for each country surveyed, dedicated time to review any draft media releases and to help with media outreach, as well as a joint press release during the project to be approved by the team. And that summarizes the research proposal for the Middle East North Africa region and is presented to you by Suvery Concepts Incorporated.